Do you have polished floorboards and maybe you know you've got some gaps between the floorboards, or maybe you're wondering if you do? You know, gaps between the floorboards are going to let a lot of draft into your home and make it mighty uncomfortable. Hi, I'm Maurice Baynett. I'm Technical Director at EcoMaster, and today we're going to learn all about identifying and treating floorboard gaps. So the first part is to determine if you actually have floorboard gaps. So to do that, it's great to use a long snap blade knife like this and just put it between the boards. Sometimes you can have quite wide gaps between the boards and still not have a draft issue. You can see there that the knife is only going through as far as the tongue of the board. But up here is a little bit different. Oh. Okay, so we know that that is actually a great big gap between the floorboards, and that needs to be treated. Well, that's an obvious floorboard gap right there because there is no tongue in there at all. But sometimes they're not quite as obvious. Over here, we've got a smaller gap and the tongue is in there, but if we probe it a little bit more, we can see that actually there is a gap in there. And so the thing is, check very carefully all the gaps in your floor. Well, we've seen how to identify the gaps in your floorboards, so now let's talk about actually treating them. Well, the first thing is, well, what material are you going to use to treat them with? What's often done is putty is used. Some kind of wood filler is put between the gaps in the floorboards. And that's fine for a while. The first problem is you've got to have a colour match to begin with, so you may or may not achieve that very well. But what happens is, of course, timber grows and shrinks across the grain, so the gaps get a little bit bigger and a little bit smaller over time. And the putty gets dried and cracks and falls out or is vacuumed up over time, and then your gap is right back where you started from. Some people suggest using silicone for this, and silicone's a good product, but it is quite difficult to gun out. Typically when we're filling gaps, we overfill a little bit and we have to clean up the excess sealant. And silicone is pretty hard to clean up nicely, so silicone is really not a good product for doing this particular job for that reason. Also, there's a fair bit of off-gassing while it dries. You could use polyurethane sealants. They're very good sealants and have a lot of give and take in them, but they're very difficult to gun out and they're extremely difficult to clean up. And that's why we use Fuller's Ultra Clear and have done for many, many years for this exact purpose. Why Ultra Clear? Well, it's a water-based product, so cleaning up excess sealant is easy just with a damp cloth. It guns out beautifully, it comes out white and dries clear, so there's no need to colour match. It's flexible, so as your floors expand and contract, it just follows that movement and doesn't crack and fall out. Because it's water-based, it's very low VOC, so almost no off-gassing while it dries, and that's great if you've got asthma or if someone in your home has got any kind of allergy. And you can get it at a reasonable price at the ecomasterstore.com.au. Okay, to cork, simply start corking. Push it right in. You see we've got excess sealant coming out, that's okay. We're going to clean that up in a second. We're going to do this whole thing here. We just need to put a bit more in here. Okay, so silicone spreader, just start cleaning up. Do it a little bit at a time. Wipe on the newspaper, give a clean up with a cloth. Just keep going in that fashion. You can see we've got a little bit over here. Wipe that up. Okay, and then with the other cloth, we're just going to make sure that we clean the floorboards each side. not touching the Ultra Clear. That's it, and rinse your cloths in the bucket. Well, we've seen how to identify the gaps in our polished floorboards, and we've seen how quick and easy it is to caulk with Fuller's Ultra Clear. And in a few days, this will no longer be white, it'll be clear, and you'll be wondering whether you actually did the job or not. Why do we want to do this? Well, of course, we're stopping the amazing draft that comes in through these gaps into your home. And in so doing, we're making your home more comfortable to live in, cheaper to run, and of course, better for the environment too. Why Ultra Clear? Well, making your home more comfortable to live in, cheaper for the environment, and of course, cheaper for the environment.
So it's that easy. Get yourself some Fuller's Ultra Clear from the ecomasterstore.com.au.
And bring your money with you. I forgot.
Go.
Well, we've seen how...
Last one.
If you'd like to make the energy efficiency journey of your home super easy, then subscribe to our YouTube channel to get loads of great ideas. And remember to ring the bell.